So today we just watched the Chicago Sky against the Indiana Fever. We just watched what is being the most anticipated WNBA game of the career, especially after of the year, especially after the Kennedy Carter cheap shot in the last game and Angel Reese jumping up to celebrate it. Before we get on to the main part of this video, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 8,000 subscribers and we are so close. If we could somehow hit that by the end of the day, that'd be absolutely insane. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. And on this channel, there are a few people we'll make videos on I know they'll do pretty well. Some of the people I'll make videos on are Caitlin Clark's teammates, and most of all, as far as views goes, it's Caitlin Clark's coach. And Christie Sides has been borderline incompetent. And I mean this. Borderline incompetent is a good way to describe how Christie Sides has been when it comes to the Indiana Fever. I would say she has been terrible all year. I don't think she's a particularly good coach in general. But I have to say, today, she coached a near-perfect game. She coached absolutely a near-perfect game, and I've got to give credit where credit's due. She made very few mistakes when it came to coaching the game today. She put in a lot of the right subs, she made the right reads, and she made a lot of tough calls that worked out for the team. First of all, a big reason why I'll say she completely outcoached Coach Spoon today, who I really like as a coach for that Sky team, is the smokescreen. The smokescreen. So she spent all midweek, she spent all the pregame stuff talking about Aliyah Boston. We're going to go inside out. We're looking for these high percentage inside shots. We want our post touches. We want to get the ball into the post. Aliyah Boston, maybe with her back to the basket, touched the ball 4 or 5 times. And I'm not talking about when she has someone sealed and she just has a layup. They ran nothing through Aliyah Boston. The first play of the game was a horn set where they ran a Kelsey Mitchell-Caitlin Clark pick and roll. They ran a Kelsey Mitchell-Caitlin Clark pick and roll the first possession of the game. Like, what? A guard-to-guard screen and roll to see how they would react to it. And they basically switched everything. And it allowed Caitlin Clark to get 7 points in the first 3.5 minutes of the game. But Christie Sides, as the game went on, she played the game to win. She played what was going to win this game. And Caitlin go stand in the corner was not going to win this game. Where the Chicago Sky were extremely vulnerable is that they have a problem when it comes to 2 of their post players are quite slow-footed. Harrison, coming back from injury, is quite slow in that pick and roll. And Cardoso, as good as Cardoso is not able to hedge out. She's not able to blitz in those pick and rolls. So basically, what the Fever did was they put Cardoso almost every single possession in a pick and roll. They put her constantly into pick and rolls. And what that meant was that Aliyah Boston was able to dive to the basket and get her scores. And I'm going to make a video a bit later complimenting how Aliyah Boston played this game. But when it comes to some of the substitutions, I think it was a really good call. Breanna Mabry was cooking them. She was absolutely cooking Christie Wallace. Christie Wallace was terrible when she was on the floor. So what does she do? She brings her, I will say second best defender because we don't know. Celeste Taylor could be. We haven't seen enough for her. But she put Lexi Hull in the game. And look, Lexi Hull has not been playing much this year. Lexi Hull has... offensively, sometimes she dribbles the ball. Reminds me of somebody who has just recently taken up the sport of basketball. But she hit big shots and she plays defense. Heck, she walked inside the 3-point line and almost, I think, scared herself when she pump faked Angel Reese and tried to step through. But it doesn't matter because she locked up Breanna Mabry. Mabry really struggled on Lexi Hull. And this is a player who, before their last game against the Dream, had not seen the floor in a win up to that point. And she trusted her with 20 minutes. Kelsey Mitchell's going to do Kelsey Mitchell things. That's fine. It's going to happen. You take the good with the bad for Kelsey Mitchell. I don't mind Kelsey Mitchell shooting the ball 13 times a game. But when Kelsey Mitchell's into the 18, 19 shots a game, especially if she ends up being a number one option, if you're giving the ball to Kelsey Mitchell's going to shoot in the break a couple of times. It's a given. If Kelsey Mitchell gets the ball 5 seconds left in the shot clock, she's their best option to score. Other than maybe Aliyah Boston a layup. But 5 seconds to go on shot clock, let her make a quick decision. When she goes geo-wise on it, she will never score. But you take the good with the bad with Kelsey Mitchell. Sometimes she's going to win you a game. Other times she might lose you a game. You take the good with the bad. She is a good player, but just wild the way she plays. And then she pretty much benched Erica Wheeler for the majority of the second half. Like, she did not play Erica Wheeler that many minutes. And Erica Wheeler is garbage. Like, legitimately garbage. She is a decent enough defender, but she commits 3 incredibly dumb fouls a game. Like, she commits 2 to 3 fouls at the halfway line for no reason a game. And that just happens. She, like, as far as, like, the Katie Lune and Alyssa Smith rotations, I thought was pretty good. Alyssa Smith had a good game. And Alyssa Smith is, like, they don't run anything for Alyssa Smith, but if she just gets the ball and can go to the basket, her touch is exceptionally good. Like, her touch around the basket is really, really good. She's got really quick hands. She just does not play defense at all. But Alyssa Smith had a really good offensive game. But she ran it the right way for this game. These were... Caitlin drop 30 was not going to win the game today. Aliyah Boston... running through Aliyah Boston was not going to win the game today. But they ran an offense that basically gave Aliyah Boston open layups the whole game. She made a real tough hook shot at the end of the game to basically ice it. An incredible possession. But almost all of the points Aliyah Boston got were pick and roll going right. They soft hedged and kind of went in between a hedge and a double team. And Caitlin Clark just split the double. She would just thread the needle and throw the pass between the 2 players. Ball would land in Aliyah Boston's hands. She's got a layup. A couple of times Aliyah Boston has their player sealed. Ball goes into her hands. That was what everyone expected to see with Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. That was what every single person who watched Caitlin Clark in college expected to see. Was that game. And that type of game. Not obviously, Caitlin Clark's not going to shoot that well again. Maybe Aliyah Boston doesn't. They're going to have their good games and their bad games. But that is how you have to how to use them at their best. Because I think you can tell someone to tweak their game, and you can't tell someone to change their game. You can tell someone to tweak their game. Like Caitlin Clark becoming a pass first point guard who can still give you on any given night 20 points a game is fine because she's such a good passer. That is tweaking her game. Telling Caitlin Clark to become a spot up shooter is changing her game. And at least Christie sides allowed Caitlin Clark to play somewhat similar to her game, but just tweak her game. Aliyah Boston. Telling Aliyah Boston to pick and pop on to become like some sort of weird, like, high post, barely setting flare screens for a 2-guard Caitlin Clark isn't going to work. Her game is to be a back down post player. But her being a back down post player turns Caitlin Clark into a go stand in the corner Caitlin player. There is a way, Boston tweaking her game in the pick and roll, and the way she rolled was a lot better because she went in between diving to the basket. She basically rolled a little bit and then used her body to seal off a lot of players, so she got the ball kind of in motion rather than pop into the free throw line like she constantly had done throughout the year. So I gotta give Christie sides credit because every one of her calls was the right call. The smoke screen going into the game, saying we're running through our bigs, and then not running through your bigs at all. They ran to their bigs. Like any of the sets they ran, any of their stuff, there was always the option to get the ball to Alyssa Smith or Aliyah Boston. Normally Alyssa Smith was like a safety option and then she could attack. And Aliyah Boston going to her was the second option. But everything went through Caitlin Clark today. Every single play, everything went through Caitlin Clark in the half court. The ball could go, they could run something to Alyssa Smith, to Aliyah Boston, to Kelsey Mitchell. They were able to run these plays to other players. But everything was through Caitlin Clark. And that's how they can be their most successful. And that was an incredibly well-coached game by Christie sides, especially because I thought it was an extremely badly coached game by Coach Spoon, who I think is a really good coach. I gotta give, if I'm gonna criticize Christie sides when I think she's making terrible decisions, I gotta make videos praising her when she does really well. Because at the end of the day, like, I make videos talking about the sport of basketball. I'm gonna be wrong on certain situations. I'm gonna be right on some situations. Hopefully I'm right more times than I'm wrong. But when you make as many basketball videos as I do, when you talk about the sport as much as I do, you're never gonna be right 100% of the time. And I think it's only right to give somebody, if you're going to criticize somebody, if I'm going to criticize someone, I feel like they're doing something bad, it's only right that I give them as much praise or the praise is as loud as the criticism when something's going well.